At the Pentagon, flames leapt from the remains of part of the building damaged Tuesday when terrorists plowed a jet into it. 190 people are still missing after that attack. At Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan, Mayor Giuliani said more than 4,000 people are missing. That's more than the tolls of the Titanic, Pearl Harbor, and the worst plane crash in history combined. There was a rescue on Thursday. Byron Pitts has details.
This is Ground Zero. What you're watching is a videotape shot by a fireman. TV cameras were not allowed this close to the scene, but I managed to make my way in.
You can begin to hear, Dan, hopefully those applause.
At that moment, I was reporting by cell phone the successful rescue of one firefighter. Pulled to safety, then walked through a gauntlet of applause as grown men cried.
They're shaking his hand. I believe the man himself is fine. Right now, they're trying to get a medic to him. He says he's okay. He's telling everyone he's okay.
It was one of those moments these rescue workers live for.
So I just figured he was one of the guys helping out. I didn't think anybody was going to come out here was going to walk out. I figured they might be alive, but certainly not able to walk out.
For nearly 48 hours, men and women, cops, construction workers, and firefighters have scratched and pulled and cut their way through a mountain of rubble that was once the World Trade Center. 1,600 volunteers called in. Thousands more just showed up.
Hey, we need buckets and a couple guys! Buckets!
In the midst of it all, reminders of reality. Inside that orange body bag, one of too many victims. Today, for the first time, rescue teams reached the bottom of Tower 1. These are the first images out, taken by a rescue worker, of the dark and deadly corners that must be searched. Surreal, quiet images, stillness that often ends suddenly.
Excuse me, sir, have you heard what happened?
Twice today, rescue workers were ordered to run when it was feared another building was about to collapse. Besides the two World Trade Center towers, at least 4 other buildings have fallen, and portions of at least 8 others may go next.
We have 4,763 people on the missing persons list.
Today, the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York State took a call from the president.
We will be with you when the United States takes firm and appropriate action to those who conducted this evil.
Aid by the truckload is still pouring into New York City, but anguish is never far behind. That fire department chaplain who died Tuesday was killed as he gave last rites to a firefighter laying at his feet.
Yeah, this is what Michael Judge was all about. He said, Lord, take me where you want me to go. Let me meet who you want me to meet. Tell me what you want me to say, and keep me out of your way.
All told, 6 rescue workers had to be rescued, men who had been trapped beneath the debris for several hours. As for those buried since Tuesday, the search goes on. Byron Pitts, CBS News, New York.
As Byron said, most of the rescues today were fruitless. All were fruitless when it comes to rescuing victims who actually went under when the buildings collapsed. It was also a day of bomb scares and people still looking for loved ones. Since Tuesday, the streets of Manhattan have been dotted with people waiting for news, thousands of them trying to keep hope alive. CBS's Ed Bradley has their story.
Last thing he said was he loved me and they'll call me. We think that maybe he may have gone back to help somebody because that's just the kind of person that he was.
All night, all day, they've stood vigil, searched, and hoped.
Just, keep strong and keep sending out emails. We'll find them.
They are the families and friends of the disappeared.
And he's a lot of fun to be around. He absolutely loves Christmas.
Those lost, injured, may be killed when the Twin Towers crumble.
We've been trying his cell phone, and it rings 4 times, and then we get his answering machine. So I just left a message saying I love you, and we want to find you.
We're going to go down to Bellevue because that's pretty much where the big list is.
Since Tuesday, too many have made this miserable trek.
I'm sorry.
From hospital to hospital.
You let them know you went to new school?
and they have something set up there with a list of names for family members. You have like this? They have an up-to-date list? They're updating it as we speak. All right.
In search of any information.
We have a glimmer of hope. Glimmer.
We just want to find him.
Any sign of their missing loved ones.
I don't even know if there's a point of this, showing this, but, you know, we love him and we have all these pictures.
Each inevitably carries a favorite photo.
He's a loving person, the best big brother I could ever have. He was able to answer his cell phone only to say, I'm trapped on the 94th floor and I can't breathe. And then the cell phone went dead. And we haven't heard anything else.
Each inevitably has a story to tell.
You know, this guy was a partier. You know, actually, I choose to believe he's still a partier. They just need to find him.
And each story inevitably is heartbreaking.
She's my best friend. Please give us. We are 9 sisters and brother, and Rosa, wherever you are, please, Rosa, come to us. And if you are in there, please survive for us. Come to us, come back, please.
I'm looking for my sister-in-law. Her name is Clarence Schwartz, and she was on the 100th floor of Tower 2. And here is her picture.
Take a good look. Both of them. Brother's 27. He's gonna get married next summer in July. His wife's 4 months pregnant. It's messed up, ain't it?
He's a good daddy. He's a good husband. He's a good brother-in-law. He's a good person.
Dawn Chiarenza carries a list of 22 hospitals.
We already gone to St. Vincent's and checked over there.
She says she'll visit every one.
We're looking for my brother-in-law. He called my sister. He was stuck in the stairwell. He called her to tell her that he loved her and to give the kids some love and that everything would be okay.
We're at Lenox Hill, and we're going to try and see what we can find out here.
Visiting?
According to them, no, they don't have anything. The next stop is...
They gave us some possibilities. They have some unknown males at St. Luke's Roosevelt.
Is this your new? That's our newest list. Everybody has, absolutely. Everybody has a name.
They say they don't have any unknowns, and we just got off the phone with Cornell, and they say they don't have any unknowns. Hey, we got word that they brought some people over to Jersey City Hospital. So, no, get call or go or whatever. We are running into dead ends here, and we're just going to keep going.
So far, sadly, no sign of Dawn's brother-in-law.
We're doing it on our own, and it's hard for us to get to each hospital, so we'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll hit all the hospitals that we possibly can again.
It is a sentiment shared tonight by so many of these friends and families.
He's my cousin, who's on the 84th floor of 2 World Trade. We're doing everything we can. We're not going to say that he's not around until it's confirmed.
Not near ready to give up looking.
Just gotta hope, right? I mean, there's not much else to do.
Unwilling, unable to give up hope.
To see all these pictures of all the people that are missing and to see all the families walking through the streets looking for people, it's just unbelievable, and how the city's come together. It's truly remarkable.
Ed Bradley with that report. One more story of anguish. A daycare worker at the World Trade Center daycare takes 6 children home. She rescues them. No one's come to get them yet. Now, from the heart-wrenching sadness to the anger for justice, now to the hunt for the people who did this. In a sprawling criminal investigation of the coordinated suicide attacks, investigators have made quick work of identifying the hijackers. CBS's Jim Stewart is tracking that part of the story.
The terrorists who seized controls of the planes all attended aviation school in the United States, some as recently as a year ago, and FBI agents were busy today searching the former apartment of 2 of the suspects who were at the controls during the World Trade Center attacks. Using airport surveillance video, credit card receipts, and the passenger list, the FBI believes it has identified all the hijackers on the 4 flights.
Unless contradicted by evidence which we wouldn't anticipate, 2 planes had 5 hijackers and 2 other planes had 4 hijackers each.
What is not as clear, however, is whether the dead hijackers left behind some live colleagues who may have attended the same aviation classes. Sources say the flight school records are being closely examined.
We are continuing to develop an understanding of all the associates that these individuals had.
In other developments, sources say there is no evidence thus far that any other nation was involved in the attack. Some of the hijackers had lived in the U.S. for more than a year, say sources, and others were associated with the Islamic fundamentalist group believed to be responsible for attacking the USS Cole. Meanwhile, the collection of physical evidence continued, with agents recovering what reads like a suicide note from the rental car of one suspect, while in Hamburg, Germany, police raided an apartment there based on an FBI request. There were also some dramatic arrests like these at Newark International Airport, where 4 people were taken off a Saudi Arabian airliner, but it remains unclear whether they were associated with Tuesday's attacks. What is also not clear is just how much help the actual hijackers had, although agents assume it was a sizable network both here and abroad.
The number of associates is significant, but I don't think it'd be appropriate for me to try and attach a specific number.
But what's got them all antsy is not a network of associates who may have provided food, lodging, and funds to the hijackers, but comrades of theirs who are as well trained as the dead hijackers were and may have the same intentions. Are any still out there? Frankly, it appears that investigators just aren't sure. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
The United States is asking Pakistan to close its border with Afghanistan and permit U.S. military flights over its territory. CBS News correspondent Alan Pizzi is there.
Good morning from Pakistan, Melissa. Pakistanis woke up here today to the news that their government has pledged itself to cooperate fully with the United States in its search for the terrorists who committed the atrocities in New York and Washington. That, of course, probably means Osama bin Laden. Pakistan is key to getting bin Laden because obviously they're right next door, but also the Taliban is in effect almost a creation of Pakistan. It was formed in the Pakistani refugee camps, the refugee camps of Afghan refugees in the Pakistan-Afghan border. That's where they began in their schools, and ever since then, Pakistan intelligence has kept very, very close tabs on the Taliban and, perforce, on Osama bin Laden. Now, Pakistan has already said it will allow its airspace to be used should America use it. They need to use it. There's also talk that they might be allowed to put ground forces in here, American ground troops, possibly in Pakistan. But that does create a problem for Pakistan in that there is a large fundamentalist movement here, and the Pakistanis have to worry about a groundswell of public opinion against helping America should they go after bin Laden in a serious way. And in fact, the GHQ, which is roughly the equivalent here of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, was already in session trying to work out both how to cooperate with America to the best advantage of both Pakistan and the United States, but also how to deal with any popular groundswell that might come up. So Pakistan is now in a delicate balancing act. They've been squeezed by the United States to come on board. You're either with us or against us. Pakistan has decided, obviously, they are with America in the fight against terrorism. Now they have to decide how they can convince their own people that they haven't gone too far. It's a delicate balancing act, but there's no question now that Pakistan is going to be a key ally in the hunt for Osama bin Laden. Melissa?
And now the reasons you just listed, though, about their ties with the Taliban, can we really ever trust them, even if they do give their word?
Oh, yes, I think this country, like any country, would act in its own best self-interest, and its best self-interest lies in being a friend of the West. The United States has made it clear if Pakistan's not on side with Washington, then Washington will just give more support to India. Pakistan and India have serious differences over Kashmir. America siding with India would be a serious blow to Pakistan. Plus, Pakistan wants sanctions against it lifted. It wants more investment in here. The U.S., again, is key to that. And Pakistan has a lot to offer because their Central Intelligence Agency, the equivalent thereof, is almost an autonomous unit here. It's a law unto itself, and it's deeply entrenched in Afghanistan. They know what's going on better than anybody else. And if it serves their interests to help America, then America has a powerful ally here. And America has a lot of powerful tools to get that ally. So it looks like we now have a partnership of convenience, at least, Melissa.
And Alan, you would say their intelligence then is the best resource they have to offer us?
Certainly their intelligence would be the best resource they have on the ground because the State Department has said that it wants help in finding out about terrorist cells, terrorist networks, terrorist support systems. Well, Pakistani intelligence knows a lot about that. And of course, they're right next door, so if there was a need to put U.S. ground troops in the area, this would be the logical place to put them, it being the most friendly country around. And so if the Pakistanis are willing to go that far, that's two major things they can offer. They've got airspace that's necessary, they've got ground space if it's needed, and they've got intelligence on the ground, Melissa.
Alan Pizzi, thank you very much. Alan Pizzi reporting from Islamabad, Pakistan. To help us understand more about the international dynamics at play, we turn once again to Professor Fuad Ajami of Johns Hopkins University. Thank you again for being with us this morning. I saw you nodding a lot as you were listening to Alan Pizzi's report. Why?
Well, Alan is a great reporter. I mean, he sketched this landscape with remarkable clarity. My one footnote to all the above, my one query is, in the end, whatever General Musharraf tells us, this is a man who came to power in a coup d'etat. He's illegitimate. He's got problems with the street in his own society. Pakistan has always been unkind to its rulers. One of them was hanged in prison, and that's Prime Minister Bhutto. One of them died in a plane crash that was sabotaged. One of them was in prison recently. And will the promises that he has made to the Bush administration, will they hold? Can he really maintain those pledges against the anger in his own street and against the people in his own country who will be second-guessing him that he's identifying with the foreigner against a Muslim neighbor? It remains to be seen.
That said, how is the best way for us to retaliate?
Well, I think that's fundamentally, first of all, we have to retaliate. We cannot, we have no exit. Once we say this is war, and once these people did to our country what they did to our city where we now sit, what they did, there is no choice. And we must try to work with the Pakistanis, because there is Afghanistan. It's a landlocked country. We need airspace. We need the flights over Pakistan. And so we have to work with the region. And we have to trust that somehow or another we will be lucky. And we have to trust that perhaps the Taliban themselves are much hated in their own country, and that people will be glad to be rid of them. And that's really the bet that we take. But we have no happy choices. It's not that we wanted to go and make war against Afghanistan. It's that that world came calling on us right to downtown Manhattan.
Mm-hmm. As far as the war, though,
yes.
How do we fight that?
Well, it's, there will be all these people who will warn that, look, Afghanistan has always been a graveyard for invaders who came through it. Everyone had their trouble with Afghanistan. The Brits had their trouble with Afghanistan. The Russians had a long, drawn-out struggle in Afghanistan and didn't do well. But we're not trying to occupy Afghanistan. We are in search of a brigand. That's Osama bin Laden, who's a guest of the Taliban. And the idea, hopefully, is that with intelligence and money and power, we can locate Osama bin Laden and bring him to justice, because we have no choice. We can't say, look, we have pledged a war against terrorism, a war for civilization, and then fail to pay the price and fail to own up to the threats that we've made.
All right, back here to U.S. soil. Since
Sure.
we talked to you yesterday morning, things have changed.
Yes.
They now, I think there were 18 terrorists that were on the planes.
We now know, and we now have faces, because so far it had always been this so-called faceless threat. We have faces. We know who these people are. We know, sadly, it's a great comment on our world. That's a cruel comment on our world. They train in our flight schools. They train in Florida. We know that two of them, this I think is very interesting and very bizarre in many ways. Two of them were running up a bar tab, sitting there in a bar in Florida drinking vodka and rum. As soon as I read this, I said, what goes here? What plays here? These are supposed to be Muslim fundamentalists, and they are willing to die for their faith. Who are these people? How could they sit and drink?
Which is completely against the Muslim
Completely,
faith.
completely. So we have no idea. But obviously, we are talking here about a group for whom these are plotters, they are murderers. It's not so much that they are Muslims or anything. They are murderers. They have a sense of this is their mission, this was what they set out to do, and that's what we've seen.
Now, one of the biggest fears, though, as I said, they identified 18 that were actually on the planes, but there are many more out there who could still be trying to carry out this plan. Do you doubt that? Or do
No, I think that's the burden of law enforcement. It's all, in many ways, none of this will heal our wound. None of this will bring back our dead. None of this will bring back our city. The losses we have incurred. So we have to track down the people who are here, and then we have to track down as well the Taliban who are over there, who have provided sanctuary for Osama bin Laden. And we have to be ready for the fact that nothing will give us any sense of, in many ways, retribution. Because it's not, there is no World Trade Center in Afghanistan that we can level. There is no stock market we can shut down. It's a poor, desperate country, but this is our fate, and this is our dilemma today.
Final question, and this is asking you to look into the future, I guess,
Sure.
a little bit. If we do end up retaliating,
Yes.
will we ever be able to wipe these terrorists out?
Well, that's the great claim, that this is the war of the 21st century, and it's a clash between order. We represent order, and we are calling upon NATO countries and Russia, which would like to be associated with this effort, and some of the moderate Muslim regimes to come on our side against this terrorist trail. We will never end it and extirpate it fully, but we have to give it this best try, because God knows, had we done it 2 years ago, when we went after after Osama bin Laden for the terrible things he did to our embassies in East Africa, maybe we wouldn't have had the World Trade Center.
All right. Aouda Jami, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being with us this morning.
Thanks.
Needless to say, sports is probably one of the farthest things from anyone's mind these days, and that's why the National Football League is doing something it hasn't done since World War I, call off all weekend games, also called off college football conferences and Major League Baseball. That decision stretches to 6 days, the interruption caused by Tuesday's terrorist attacks. Other than player strikes, it's the longest regular season stoppage since 1918. There are thunderstorms right now in New York, something they don't need in the rescue effort. But further south, Florida is bracing for a possible hurricane. Right now, Tropical Storm Gabrielle is gaining strength in the Gulf. It's expected to come ashore later this morning near Sarasota. At that time, it could rise to hurricane force. You may have noticed a blossoming of color since Tuesday's attack. Red, white, and blue are very popular right now, as Maureen Maher reports.
Across the nation, flags have been flying off the shelves.
I've probably gone to 8 or 9 places. There are no flags.
Walmart sold 200,000 yesterday and put more on order today.
This is probably the most direct way for the common citizen to go show his support.
I knew some people on those planes, and I feel like I have to do something.
Ever since the disaster, a wave of patriotism has been spreading across America.
America is united. We are strong. We are stronger than ever.
From blood drives to passing out freedom ribbons.
If it's anything red, white, and blue, it's going to sell.
At times like this, it's what we do in America. We, the people, pull together, and united we stand.
We cease to be New Yorkers and Texans and become Americans really, really quick when the need is there.
The first question comes up.
At this New Orleans Army recruiting office and others, the young and the brave are preparing to defend the land of the free.
I have confidence that our government will take the necessary action to see that justice is done.
You want to be a part of that?
Yes, sir.
This country has to take care of itself. Nobody else is going to.
That attitude has helped to more than double sales at B&S Guns and other shops since Tuesday's attack.
This gun has no safety at all.
Why are people coming in, do you think?
The first day they were buying ammunition, and now they're beginning to buy defense guns of their own. They don't know how far this goes.
For this man, it only goes as far as trying to vent his frustration out at a paper target.
I've been antsy. I've run every emotion there is since Tuesday, and I thought, well, this is something I can do that's harmless.
Across the country, from dusk to dawn, young and old, the emotions have run the gamut.
These terrorists did what no politician, no speaker, nothing else, no one else could do, and that is bring Americans together.
But the sentiment and the symbol are the same. Maureen Maher, CBS News, Dallas.
In London, Prime Minister Tony Blair said the British stand shoulder to shoulder with their American friends, and there was a touching demonstration of that support yesterday outside Buckingham Palace. watching continuing CBS News coverage of the attack on America. Ironic and sad reminders of the instantaneous reaction to the attack on Tuesday. It is Friday, September 14th. I'm Melissa McDermott reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York City with continuing coverage of the attack on America. And here's the latest. President Bush has declared a day of prayer and remembrance for the victims today. He'll visit Ground Zero in New York, where the search goes on tonight for the victims in the rubble of the World Trade Center. This is a picture taken moments ago of the search and rescue efforts. Unfortunately, we'd hoped to bring you live pictures, but rain continues to hinder our efforts to do that, and unfortunately, possibly hindering the efforts of searchers. But that is what they were doing a few moments ago. It has been 24 hours with very sobering numbers. 184 confirmed fatalities from the World Trade Center attack. Parts of 70 bodies recovered. The total confirmed death toll in all attacks is near 500. But add those missing, and the eventual total could top 5,000. Thousands of people flood hospitals, streets, looking for the missing. Jetliners returned to the nation's skies for the first time in 2 days with much tighter security. But service was halted at New York's 3 major airports when a man was arrested at JFK for trying to use a fake pilot's ID. Pentagon officials are asking the president for permission to call up as many as 50,000 reserve troops. Now Scott Pelley at Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan.
This was testimony to just how dangerous this work is. 2 firefighters looking for victims fell into a void and had to be rescued themselves. It was a moment of life in another day of death in Lower Manhattan. The city officially estimates 4,700 missing, but everyone here expects that to climb much higher.
Can you tell me what you've seen today?
It's amazing. It's just incredible. Indescribable.
What do you mean?
It's just no words to describe it. It's terrible.
Can you give me a sense of what you're seeing in there?
It's hard to explain. I mean, everything's destroyed. Where we were digging out, I mean, we were probably standing on the roof of the building as we were digging out, and all you're seeing is the tops of fire engines and cars, and trying to listen to see if anybody was in there.
Wait a minute, you're digging through the debris, and what you're finding are the tops of fire engines.
Right, and cars and whatnot.
What are you seeing in terms of the victims down there?
It's spread out. There's stuff and people, everywhere.
They're running in shifts, exhausted firefighters going out, fresh hands going in. They're coming from all over, some from Los Angeles, others from Michigan, and all around New York State. The firemen are working under hanging steel and buildings that threaten to fall. That's the Millennium Hotel, unstable and towering over hundreds of men and women digging for signs of life. There was more smoke over Manhattan today. Fires are erupting repeatedly, even 2 days after the attack.
I see a fire now. We keep seeing fires again and again every few hours.
What's spot fire? It's very difficult to get inside that amount, that rubble to extinguish every spot fire.
You don't want to pour a lot of water on there because that water will be filling some voids where maybe we have some people. So, that the water will travel from where that spot fire is and seek the lowest level. And if that's where there's people, you don't want to dump too much water in there.
This is the underground area where there is still hope of life, the extensive basement complex of the World Trade Towers. Rescue workers are searching with flashlights and listening with sensitive microphones for any sign of a survivor.
Sending listening devices in through pockets. Tell me about that.
When they think they found something, whether it's an indication from a dog or an indication from one of the guys may have spotted something, they'll send down a listening device and they yell for the entire area to quiet down. When they do that, you can hear a pin drop in that whole area.
Everybody stops.
Everybody stops. Nobody moves. They shut down generators. Everybody just stops moving.
Dogs are guiding rescuers to any human scent. This dog named Miranda is being handled by Sergeant Dale Warkey.
I send her down and she looks to see if she can find anybody.